Students, this is Irfan Khan, and today is the first class which is related to the role of the public accountant in the American economy. In this session, in this class, we will discuss about different learning outcomes. I will explain each learning outcome in more details. Let's discuss what are these learning outcomes. Learning outcome 1.1 is about what are assurance services, the audit function, financial statement audits, what creates the demand for audits, the accounting profession's credibility crisis, types of audit and auditors, the public accounting profession, organization of the public accounting profession. Let's start from the very first learning outcome. The first learning outcome is about the nature of assurance services. That what are assurance services? But before starting the assurance services, you need to know about a very important concept, which is information. You need to know what is an information and why the information is important for the CPAs. CPA stands for Certified Public Accountant. What are information? What are these information important? Why these information are important for the CPA, for the management, and for the users? Right? There are three important bodies. There are three important, we can call it individual. For example, CPAs, management, and the users. Right? Let me know you about information. Information is the facts and figures, the value of an asset, the value of liabilities, information about sales, information about advertising, information about customer relationship, information about internal control. These information are provided by the management. These information are developed by or recorded by the management, the financial accountant, or any other accountant. Right? The management provide these information to the users. Why user need these information? Because user will make important decisions based on information. There are different kinds of users. There are different kinds of users. For example, investors, bankers, government, and others. Why investors need these information? Because investors want to invest funds in the business, in the company, and for that investors need to know about the profitability of the company, to know about the income, the sales, the competition, and many other important information the investors will need. For example, the management told the investor that the internal control of the company is very strong and every process is doing very smoothly. Do you know the investor will believe on the statement of the management? No, because the investor will ask the management, did you audit this information from CPA? Did the auditor provide any opinion on this information? If yes, then the investor will believe that the information provided by the management is right. So the investor will then invest in this company. So information is also important for investor. Another user is banker. Why these information? Why these informations are important for bankers? Because if the company wants to take loan for the bank will never sanction the loan to the company without authentic information, without without reliable information. So the bank will ask the management to go and hire the CPA, the independent auditor, to audit the financial statement. If they give the opinion on the financial statement, then he or she or the banker will provide the loan to the management or to the company. Right? Another one is government. Government also need these information for different purposes like taxes. So remember, information are very important in all aspects of transactions, in all aspects for all users like investors, bankers, and government. And information will discuss throughout this subject, right? Now the learning 1.1, learning outcome 1.1, which is about assurance services. You will need to answer the following question. For example, define assurance services and what are the two distinct types. Let us discuss assurance services with the help of this figure, this model. These are the information, and I have told you that informations are the facts and figures which are presented by the management, which are recorded by the management in the financial statements. From financial statements, I mean balance sheet, statement of cash flow, statement of shareholder equity, and income statement. These information may be about internal control, right? These information will be provided by the management to the user. I have discussed these things before. Because the users, the investors, the bankers, and the government, they will make decisions on the basis of information. But they will not use or take decision on these information when these informations are not audited by an independent CPAs. So CPA or independent CPA or firms will provide a statement about the information, that these informations are correct or not. If it is correct, if it is right, if these informations are right, then the users will take decision on the basis of these information. So assurance services is the professional services, right? These are the professional services that enhance the quality of information or its context for decision making. I have told you that when CPA independently analyze the information, they will provide the opinion about the information, right? And due to these services, the quality of information will increase, and now everyone will believe, now the users will believe that these informations are correct. So remember, the assurance services will provided by the CPAs, and CPAs are independent. They will not employee of the company, right? What does the quality of information mean? The quality of information mean to provide validity, to provide accuracy, and to provide credibility and reliability to the information, right? And to increase the degree of confidence in the information. It means that when the financial statements are audited by the independent CPAs, then the user's confidence will increase, and they will use these information for decision making. So assurance services are the professional services which are provided by the CPAs, and the CPAs are independent. They were not an employee of the company, and the purpose of the assurance services is to increase the quality of the information, right? There are two types of information. There are two types of assurance services. We will discuss these two types in detail in the coming section. Those type number one is type number one are those that increase information reliability, which we call the attestation service. In this attestation service, we will discuss in learning outcome 1.2. The second one is those that involve putting information to a certain context and form, right? So this is all about assurance services. The services which are provided by the CPA, the CPA, the CPAs are independent. They will not they will not employ of the company, and the purpose of these services are to provide or to enhance the quality of information. And the quality of information mean reliability, validity, accuracy, and credibility of information. Why these things? Why these services are provided? In order to increase the degree of confidence in the information, right? In learning outcome 1.1, you can see the second paragraph. If you open your books and when you read the second paragraph, you will find different concepts which are discussed in the learning outcome 1.1. These concepts we will discuss in detail in the end of this lecture. Let me introduce a few of the concepts which are very important, which you will see throughout the subject. The first one is certified public accountant. We have already discussed that who is the certified public accountant. It is also an individual, or it may be the firm, it may be an organization. The AICPA, American Institute of Certified Public Accountant, PCAOB, Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, If you see, I want to explain this one very clearly. Don't be worry about these concepts. These concepts are very easy, and if you know about this concept, I think you will cover this subject. You will cover 10% of this subject because this subject is moving around these concepts. Let me discuss the PCAOB, Public Company Accounting Oversight Board. Remember, when you see the word board, it will means that board is the group of intellectual people, group of experts. In this group, in this case, they oversight. It means they monitor the accounting, the financial statement of which company, the public company. So the board which produce, I will use the word develop, which develop the financial, develop the standards for the public company is called PCAOB, right? Let me discuss the other one, FASB, Financial Accounting Standard Board. It is also the group of intellectual experts, the group of intellectual people. It may be the directors, it may be the manager, the management, which prepare the standard, which develop the standard for financial statements. It may be the GAP, general generally accepted accounting principle, right? So all these concepts we will discuss one by one in their respective section, right? So let me start the second learning outcome. The second learning outcome is about the Attest function, and in this learning outcome, remember, we will discuss the following concepts: the subject matter, the suitable criteria, attestation function, assertion, artist engagement, examination, review, agreed upon procedure, assurance services and non-assurance services. The artist engagement I will discuss later, but before discuss the artist function in more detail, I would like to explain the subject matter, the suitable criteria, and the assertion. Right? Subject matter. What is subject matter? Remember, I have told you that information is very much important. So these information are the subject matters. But in the subject matter we will collect one. We may collect the we may talk we will talk about the internal control, or we will talk about the liabilities, or we will talk about the assets, or we will talk about uh, the sales. So subject matter is basically the thing, the information which will be under observation, which will be analyzed by the CPA, right? If you open the key terms on page number 24, it will be right. This subject matter is not mentioned in the keywords. There is only suitable criteria. But remember, subject matter is the information which are analyzed by the CPA, right? Which are targeted by the CPAs. The next one is suitable criteria, right? Suitable criteria is basically the standards, the principles, the rules, and the regulation developed by the intellectual experts, as I told you earlier. Uh, Open page number 26, the last one, suitable criteria. Let me read. The standards, I have told you the suitable criteria are the standards, are benchmark. I will use two other important concepts, principles, rules and regulations. So suitable criteria are the standards, are the benchmark, are the rules and regulations used to measure and present the subject matter. The subject matter may be internal control, maybe it may be the financial statement, right? For example, if the subject matter is financial statement, so what will be the standard? The standard will be GAAP. It will be generally accepted accounting principle, right? And against which the CPA evaluate the subject matter. Suitable criteria are criteria that are established or developed by groups composed of experts, which we call board, that follow due procedures, including exposure of the proposed criteria for public comment. Suitable criteria must have each of the following attributes. It should have objectivity, it should have measurability, you can measure it, it could have completeness and relevance. It must be relevant to a subject matter, because GAAP you can use in America, but when you use the standards for international companies, there is another standard which we call IFRS. We will discuss this later in detail, right? So the next concept is assertion. What is an assertion? Assertion is basically the statements, the declaration, the comments which is given by the management, which is given by the third party about the subject matter, and the third party will be the management, right? You can also check it in the key terms, page number 24. A representation, as I told you, are declaration made by the responsible party, typically management of the entity, management of the company. What kind of statement the management will give? The statement, for example, assertion is given by the management about the internal control. What kind of assertion he will give? It would be like that. The internal control of the company A is very much potential, is very much good, right? The internal control of company A is right. There is no problem in the governance of this company. This statement is given by whom? By the management, right? So assertion is basically the statement given by the third party about a subject matter, and that third party is the management of the entity, right? So remember these three things, these three concepts which we will discuss: the definition of artist management, artist engagement, sorry. Let's discuss the artist function. As we know about the assertion, as we know about the assurance services which are provided by the CPAs, artist function is the component of assurance services. But here, the assurance, here the artist means, or to artist to information means to provide assurance as to its reliability. It means that the informations are correct, the information is reliable, and the information is credible. The information has a credibility. It means that the users can believe on these information, right? Artist function is a CPA reviews, a CPA's review of a company financial statement. This review may be positive, may be negative, right? Maybe both, right? After a detailed comprehensive review, a CPA provides an opinion on the integrity of the numbers of the statement. The number mean it may be the sales, it may be about internal control. The CPA provides an opinion about the integrity of internal control, about the integrity of the sales, about the integrity of the profitability, about the integrity of the liabilities, right? About the integrity of the cash flows. So the CPA provide opinion, and if the CPA provide the opinion about the information about the integrity, it means they provide, the CPAs provide assurance to assurance that these informations are reliable, right? We have discussed the suitable criteria before, but if you want to understand in more detail, you can read standard established or developed by a group of experts. We call it board. For example, internal control audit standard developed by a committee of experts on internal control. Financial statement audit standards are GAAP, right? Generally accepted accounting principles for the financial statement. We also discuss assertion in detail. Assertion means a representation or declaration or a statement made by the responsible party, and that responsible party is management. And for example, the management declare that the statement made by the management about the internal control, that the internal control of the company is very much potential, right? Let's discuss the most important topic of this learning outcome 1.2, which is attest engagement. I will discuss, I will read the definition first, and I will discuss every point in detail in this definition, right? A practitioner is engaged, a practitioner is engaged to issue or does issue an examination, a review, or an agreed upon procedure, report on subject matter, or an assertion about subject matter that is the possibility of another party. Sorry, that is the responsibility of another party, and that party may be management. Remember, who is the practitioner? The practitioner is the CPA, and the CPA must be an independent body. This CPA will engage in certain projects, in certain evaluation of the financial statements. These engagement will be about subject matter, maybe about internal control, maybe about the liabilities, maybe about the sales, right? And these practitioners, these CPAs will issue an opinion which may be examination, review, or agreed upon procedure. It may be directly about the subject matter, it may be about an assertion, which is indirect, right? For example, the management provide an assertion about the internal control, the internal control of the particular company is right, is good, is potential. So the sorry, the CPAs will provide opinion on that subject matter, right? I will explain each section like examination, review, and agreed upon procedure in more detail. What is an examination? It is an opinion. Remember, it is an opinion given by the CPAs, right? Examination is basically the level of assurance here will be high because the opinion given by the CPA should be positive, right? Provides the highest form of assurance that CPAs can offer. Highest assurance means it will be a reasonable assurance. It means that the chances of misstatement is very low, right? It means that there is no misstatement in the information. It means that the records inside the financial statement are correct. So the level of assurance will be high, right? CPAs select from all available evidence a combination that limits to a low level the risk of undetected misstatement. It means the risk of information will be low. I have written here high, but you need to change it, right? The risk of misstatement will be low, right? Misstatement means material misstatement, right? The risk of material misstatement will be low because CPAs provide reasonable assurance about a particular subject matter, right? As a CPA, you have to express positive opinion, right? For example, the nature of assurance in report will be positive. They will say like a statement in our opinion. What kind of statement he will give? It will be like this. Financial statements followed gap, right? So the nature of assurance in the report or the nature of the opinion will be positive. CPA makes a direct statement about whether the presentation of the assertion taken as a whole conform to the applicable criteria, conform to the suitable criteria, right? For example, financial statements are prepared by the financial accountant and the management provide these information or these financial statement to the CPAs and the CPA examine that and they provide a positive opinion about the gap or the positive opinion about the financial statement. That positive opinion may be must be reasonable assurance, which we call as reasonable assurance. And reasonable assurance means that there is no material misstatement found in the financial statements, right? Procedures mean that what kind of procedure the CPA will follow in the examination. They can follow all kind of combination, right? They can follow the analytical procedure, they can follow the inquiry, they can ask question from the management, and they can follow any rules, right? We will discuss these procedure in more detail in their respective sections. But remember, examination is unrestricted, which means that the client can distribute the information widely. They can distribute among investors for the sale or marketing purposes. There is no need, right? They can distribute these reports to to investors or to anyone, to the bankers for different purposes, right? So the level of assurance in examination is high because they will provide reasonable assurance, and reasonable assurance means that there is no material misstatement in the financial statement. If there is no material misstatement, the risk of uh, information will be low, right? And they will provide positive opinion. So, for example, the statement they provide that the financial statements followed the gap, and they can follow any kind of procedure, right? The next is review. Here, the level of assurance will be limited. It will not be reasonable assurance, right? CPA provides a moderate or limited level of assurance that is expressed as a negative assurance conclusion, right? Negative assurance means that the CPA will write the statement and they will say that we are not aware of that the report is compliance with the specific criteria. For example, we can say, or they can say, that the financial statements are not prepared according to GAAP. For example, another example, the CPA report states that whether in any information came to the CPA attention to indicate that the assertion are not presented in all material respect in conformity with applicable criteria. It means it is very simple. I'm sorry. Very simple. The management told the CPA that all the information are correct, right? The CPA found some some things, some information missing for a particular subject matter, and they told the management that you need to provide this information. So if they didn't provide, so the CPA will report the following statement as we discuss here, right? Procedures, they can provide, they can use inquiry or they can use analytical procedures. Analytical procedure we will discuss it in detail. These procedures are like the relationship between financial and non-financial data. For example, the number of employees multiplied by their salaries, and finding trends. For example, the salary of employees in 2020, and then you need the CPA analyze the salaries of the employees in 2022. So they need to find the trends in the salaries, and analytical procedure, they also analyze the ratios, right? So in the procedure, the CPAs can use inquiry, they can use analytical procedures, right? Uh, a review report is also unrestricted. As we discuss about examination, they can also provide this report to investor, to bankers, right? It means it can be distributed to anyone. So this is all about review. They will provide moderate level of assurance. They will provide negative opinion, right? And they can use any kind of procedure. They can use inquiry or they can use analytical procedure, right? For analyzing the subject matter, for giving the opinion about the subject matter. And the review report is also unrestricted. They can give this report to investor, to banker, or any users, right? Agreed upon procedure. The meaning of this level is clear from the word agreed upon. Agreed upon means both parties agreed on a particular procedure, on a particular subject matter, right? It is the agreement between the CPA firm or the CPA individual and the customer about subject matter, right? It may be the client, right? And whatever they agreed is the procedure. Is a agreed upon procedure is a service in which CPA is to report findings based on specific procedure agreed upon beforehand, right? For example, they both the parties agreed that they will use sampling methodologies to select items to which the procedure will be applied, right? Another example is they agreed, the CPA and the customer agreed to compare the schedules, to compare the tables or the documents, right? Or they also agree, or they may agree, or they may agree to confirm specific item with third party. So these are the types of agreed upon procedure. Remember, the assurance varies with the specific procedure agreed to and perform. This kind of report is very limited, and they cannot provide these reports to any users, but it depends upon both the parties, the CPA and the customer. If they want, they can distribute these reports to the investors or to the bankers, right? This is the short summary table of the artist engagement. The types of audit engagement is the examination, review, and agreed upon procedure. The level of assurance, as I discussed earlier, is high because it is reasonable assurance, because the CPAs provide an opinion that there is no material misstatement in the material misstatement, and if there is reasonable assurance, so the risk of material misstatement is low, right? But in case of review, the assurance level is limited, right? And the risk of material misstatement is not defined. It means they can say that the subject matter has some problem and it is not according to the applied standard, right? But in case of agreed upon procedure, it is basically the assurance level is based on the summary of the findings, and the risk varies by specific engagement. It depends on the nature of the engagement, right? Nature of assurance in report, it means that what kind of opinion the CPA will provide. Here they will provide positive opinion. Here they will provide, in the review, they will provide negative opinion, because they will say that they are not aware of any material modification that should be made. But an agreed upon procedure, that will include a summary of procedure followed and findings. It will also include, it will also depend on the nature of the engagement. Here, what kind of procedure the CPA will use, what kind of techniques the CPA will use. They can use any combination of techniques, right? But in review, they can use the inquiry, but because it will be limited to inquiry and analytical procedure. And I have told you that analytical procedure is to find the relationship between financial and non-financial data, right? And procedures for the agreed upon procedure, or the techniques for the agreed upon procedure will depend on the user or the users, or it may be depend on the specific engagement, right? So this is all about the learning outcome 1.2. The learning outcome 1.2 and the artist engagement. Next, we will discuss the different types of different assurance services, and we will discuss the difference between assurance and non-assurance services and other assurance services. And I have discussed that assurance services is an independent professional service, yeah, right, which is provided by the CPAs, which means that to improve the quality of information for the users to take important decisions. In assurance services, a CPA issues a report in which he or she expresses the opinion. The opinion may be qualified, may be unqualified, may be disclaimer, or may be adverse. And this opinion may be about this opinion will be about the subject matter, and this opinion then the users use to make informed decisions. The types of the assurance services are the audit of financial statements. The example of assurance services are the audit of financial statements, examination of internal control, trust services, for example, web trust. For example, a company has a website and the management claim that the website is properly working, and the CPA then offer assurance on the reliability of the web trust of that particular company. Another example is sys trust. It means system trust. For example, the banks use a certain kind of system, and the CPA provide assurance on the reliability of the company system, right? In review of financial statement that I have discussed earlier, agreed upon procedure, and other. Other assurance services, which do not meet the definition of assurance services, right? There is no requirements of written report, and there is no need that it should be reliable or compliance with rules and regulation. The examples are the CPA Prime Plus or elder care services. It is the kind of services that are provided by the company, and then the XBRL services mean extensible business reporting language and other services, right? In non-assurance services, CPA not provide the assurance about the particular subject matter, but the firms hire a CPA to perform the following function. For example, bookkeeping, accounting, tax services, or management consulting services. But remember, these kind of services are provided by CPA in a small organization, in a small companies, right? As we discussed earlier, the different types of engagements. So this is the question. You can see this question about the artist engagement in page number. You can open page number. Please open page number 30. Learning outcome 1.6 and 1.33. Let me explain the question first, and then you will need to provide the answer to each question. If the option A, B, C to J, if it is related to examination, you need to write E in front of that question. If it is about to review, you need to write R, and if it is about agreed upon procedure, you need to write A, and if it is not, and if the statement does not relate to examination, review, or agreed upon procedure, you need to write N. So let's start from the first one. The first one is about let me read it. When financial statements are involved, this is refers to as an audit. And you know, we audit the financial statement in examination, right? So you need to write E here. The term "we are not aware of any material modification that should be made" is often included in the report. I have told you that this kind of statement is given in review, because in review they told that they are not aware of material modification. So this is limited assurance, and limited assurance is given in review, right? The report issued provides a summary procedure followed in finding. So this statement is given in a review. Sorry, the report issued provide a summary of procedure followed in finding. It is issued in the agreed upon procedure. The report issued provide reasonable assurance. When the reasonable assurance is given, you know that reasonable assurance is given in examination. The procedure involved are generally limited to inquiry and analytical procedure. Limited assurance is given in review. The report issued provide absolute assurance. There is no absolute assurance, right? There is absolute assurance means that everything in the financial statement is correct, and it is not possible. there may be fraud and there may be errors. If there is no fraud, there may be errors, right? There may be some mistakes which were not by purpose, right? So you need to write N in front of F. G, the report issued provide limited assurance, and I have told you that limited assurance is given in review, so you need to write R here. The procedure followed are agreed upon with the specified user or users. The procedure followed are agreed upon with the specified user or users. So this is the agreed upon procedure, right? You can also know about this because the word procedure is used here, and you can also say that agreed upon, so it's very clear from this sentence. So you can write here uh, a I, this type of engagement provide more assurance than a review. When it is more than review, more assurance than review, so it is examination, right? The CPA need not be independent to perform these services. So you know the CPA must be independent, right? So you need to write in here. Okay. So this is all about this session, and 1.3 we will discuss in the next session. So for now, learning outcome 1 and learning outcome 2 is enough for this class. So see you tomorrow. Thanks.